I'm Adora Crystal. Welcome to the Rich Queen podcast. I believe that we each came here to experience, create, express something so freaking epic. And I believe that your life and all that you create is your queendom. Your journey to rich living. Whatever that is for you starts now.
All right. So hello, everyone. This is Adora, and we're recording live for the Rich Queen podcast. And this is about living your most rich life, whatever that means to you, whether it's a tent in Bali or a multi-million-dollar mansion. It's all possible. I'm so excited to share. I love sharing awesome people with you. And Stephanie is the founder of Spiritual Boss Babes. Thousands of women are in that group, and she's empowered so many people through her group, through her work on manifesting, on what it is to have a spiritual business. And now there's some new evolutions on the rise. Look out for that word. On the rise. So Stephanie, I am so freaking excited to have you here to dive into like how you created your work. We'll go into your work and also what's next. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I love your energy. And it's like, I feel like this is going to be so freaking magical.
Wow. I feel it. I feel it already. So let's just start with Spiritual Boss Babes, because you have something like 25,000 women or something like.
Yeah, there's almost 30,000 women in my community. And it's been just freaking awesome growing it and bringing so many amazing women together over the last couple of years. And it's just amazing.
Yeah. So how did you even start that? And we're going to post the links and everything of where you can follow and get in. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments because we'll answer them after. I probably won't see them now but we will answer them after. So how did you give us this story? So I know that you were working with crystals, and then what happened? Give us the story.
So I have a long story. Well, but okay. So, before I started Spiritual Boss Babe, I was personal training and doing health and fitness coaching and helping people through that way. And I was still sharing a lot about following your dreams, creating your dream business, manifestation. I was still sharing a lot about that stuff. And during that, there was like a transition phase. I started feeling really pulled to shift or to go deeper with people from the fitness. And that's what led me into the mindset and success coaching. And I was always into really spiritual growth, all the woo stuff, energy healing, and plant medicine. And that actually shifted me into a new phase of my spiritual evolution back then, which is another thing I'm going through right now. But it led me to creating a community of women. I just literally listened to the divine guidance and the divine inspiration to just, create this community, bring these women together and, help them really rise into their purpose in a bigger way through, everything I wanted to share. And it shifted and has evolved as we were just talking about before this, which is totally normal and which is what I share with everyone as well, And it's been an amazing journey helping and supporting thousands of women from across the world. It's almost surreal and it's really exciting. And I literally feel like I'm just getting warm though still.
Yeah, you are. You are. And you've been amazing already. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But I want to know, so you followed an inkling, divine guidance, you set up this group, you had this, like many women who you've supported and many women who are watching this, you had this feeling that you wanted to go deeper with people. And I think when you started, I'd love to know, because right now we're just starting to see entrepreneurs that are really spiritual coming forward and having their cake and eating it too, per se. Like they're getting to have their spiritual life, their passion, and create a business around that. when you started, was there a lot of that happening, or were you like one of the first people to really put it together in your way?
I feel like it was still relatively new-ish, and I think that so many people resonated with it when they came across the idea, because it's something so many people seek. I believe that when you're an entrepreneur and you're growing your service-based business, that is a spiritual journey in and of itself. And so to really honor the two pieces of spirituality and how to apply spiritual principles to your business, it just makes you that much more successful, that much more fulfilled, that much more impactful, and that much more abundant. So I guess it was like around the kind of, I don't know if you can say the beginning phases, but yeah, like more people are awakening, more people are embodying their purpose and stepping into it, or more people are knowing that they have this special calling. Yeah. And I feel like there's, people are at different phases in their journey. I like to call it the spark, the flame, and the fire.
Oh, tell us about that. What's the spark? What's the flame? What's the fire?
So the spark is like, and you can apply this to life too, not just, business or your purpose, but the spark is like when you just, at the beginning stages of like first, like really having this like awakening of like, oh my God, I'm meant to do something. Like I want to better myself. I want to better my life. I want to follow my dreams. And then you start kind of diving into personal development and like learning things and like being inspired and stuff. And then the flame is like when you're already, you're sharing your message, you're helping other people in some way, you're putting yourself out there, you're on purpose, but there's a lot more, and you're kind of still like, there's still more to it and more to shift into abundantly and in your message. And the fire is you are on like fire with everything that you're doing and everything you're creating in life, with how fulfilled you are, how in flow you are, and you're unstoppable. Your purpose and your life blend together because it's one and the same, and you're always on purpose, and there's no going back now. There's only evolution. That's the fire.
I love it. And when people first come to you, do you find that more in a certain place? Are they in the spark mode or kind of all over? Yeah.
In different phases. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, because there's like 30,000 people in my group. So there's people at different phases of the journey. That's kind of why I, came up with that lingo of, okay, well, where are you? If you're, and there's nothing wrong with being at any, whatever. We all have our journey. And there's layers of all of this. So, if people are just starting out and they're like just diving into understanding themselves and understanding, the importance of healing and, how to manifest and all this stuff, then I have certain things that I would want them to start with, whether it's like my lives in my Facebook group, my podcast, or, I have like little smaller programs. And if they're in like a different stage, I have different things. And if they're the fire, then of course that's like my, a one-on-one group activation mastermind, like stuff that is like, okay, like we're getting intimate, we're going deep with all this healing and expansion, and like how to really expand your energy and just like have this greater understanding of how reality works and how everything works. And this is actually something I'm teaching more of now to everyone, and coming up with my own way to simplify it a little bit, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah. And what have you seen over the years is like the main stop for people that know that they're called, but they haven't, they're in the spark phase.
They overthink everything. And the only reason I understand this, and, it's because I always think about my journey, and I'm like, oh man, I remember when I was in that phase, I wanted to do freaking everything under the sun.
Yeah.
tried to do everything at the same time. I felt overwhelmed. Then I was like, well, shit, what am I supposed to do? And I kept thinking I was supposed to do something. Instead, I realized that your purpose finds you by following your passions anyway. So you are always on purpose if you're following your passions and following your, bliss and things that you love. And it evolves, as we were talking about, again, as you evolve. And so the biggest thing I feel like most people in the very beginning is like they overthink too many things and they get in their head and they get stuck on things that actually matter least. Like, I used to get stuck on this too. I used to be stuck on, well, how do I do it? How? And then I would get stuck on all the strategy pieces of shit. And then I realized, well, oh, wow, that actually is like 10% of it. 80% or 90% of your success, your fulfillment, your abundance, you being in your purpose is actually energy. And so that's my evolution more, is to really hone in on that and how to apply that to your business. Because once you're being in the energy of it and raising your vibration and learning how to do all this stuff, once you do that, the other shit becomes so much easier because you're in alignment and you take action from the place of alignment instead of taking action from this place of, oh my God, what do I need to do? I need to make money. how do I do? And it's like this, you're not going to really, it's just going to slow you down. But again, we all have our journey.
Yeah. There's no judgment. But that's what's so beautiful about sharing our lives, sharing our journey, because you've been there, so you can explain to people that are going there now that, hey, that analysis by paralysis doesn't matter that much. You're trying to nail Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
I know, it's so many things
at one time is really going to just slow you down. Yeah. And yes, there's a time for it. So I also hear you saying, choose a few things, follow your passion. And then the most important thing is, who are you being? Are you staying grounded in love and truth and presence? And is your energy vibrating at this place that will actually, it's not just, look, for those of you that believe in law of attraction, you get that already, right? Your energy goes out, you attract some things in. But even if you don't, just thinking about the reticular activating system and how our brain can only, it filters things a certain way, and we train our brain to see the world a certain way. So when you're looking from a stressed out, crazy place, you're going to draw those things in. Not to mention, if you're in fight or flight, the choices that you make versus when you're about to go on vacation and the world is awesome, and how you say things like it is the beingness. Mm-hmm. Totally the beingness that is the major thing. And that's at any stage, right? Because you can get to spark, you can get to flame, and then you can get to fire. And with these new levels, you get these new challenges. And so that can bring up all the.
Yeah. And because we're always evolving and we're always expanding. And so it's you reach one goal, then you set another, right? You don't just stop right there. The whole point of life is to continue growing and expanding. And so, you're going to be stepping into a new way of being along the way, and working through old paradigms and old constructs and stuff that you may not have been aware of. My cat. That come up, and some certain things, you learn certain things in divine timing too,
Yeah, I'm next to an airport, so I keep muting it because the airplanes are going by. But so have you noticed that as you've been through your own journey, what kind of things came up? Because there's a part where you totally were owning your voice, your way, your cuss words, spirituality, colorful hair, beautiful brand. But then I can imagine that as you got more popular, you started getting lots of private messages and more judgments and haters and criticisms as well. Can you talk about any part of that, leveling? Mm-hmm.
Well, there was definitely a lot of things that came up along the way. I feel like everyone goes through imposter syndrome at some point or another. And like, oh, who am I to do this? Or like, am I really, good enough? And a lot of that, before I even started my this whole thing, I used to be really shy and really like quiet and really scared to put myself out there. Yeah. And so like, it took me a lot to work through that before this of like, just really being bold enough and finding my voice. But the only way I found my voice was to just start sharing and speaking, and like my message would get more clear, and it continues to as I trust myself.
Oh, I love this one. And this goes into the conversation we were having personally that we'll cue you all in on. But I find so many people, and even myself, it took me a long time to start. I always knew I wanted to serve women and help women, but I had so many interests, and I was so worried about picking the perfect
Same
one, right?
Yeah.
You're like, but I'm so about this, but I'm also, you were that way too.
Totally. Exactly.
And what you said is so powerful, because the only way to trust yourself is to trust yourself. Mm-hmm. The only way to start and find your way is whatever is the low-hanging fruit that's juicy and exciting to you right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's no way around it. You'll sit in your head and write 8 different books on 8 different topics and never serve anyone. Mm-hmm. Unless you just show up and start serving someone, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's so much perfectionism out there, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely a recovering perfectionist.
Oh, me too, all day, every day still. I mean, I'm still like, if I hyperventilate over a sentence, I say this to my team, like it's my inner child freaking the fuck out. So just ignore it. Like I'll come back to like peace in a moment. I luckily haven't freaked out on them yet, but definitely internally it happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the human experience as well.
Yeah. So you're evolving now yourself. You have so right now you have lots of materials, that people will be able to find. They can join Spiritual Boss Babes group. We're going to give you a link so you can do their 21-day manifesting and mindset challenge.
21-day mindset, mind shift magic.
There we go. I love that name, Mind Shift Magic.
Yeah.
And there'll be lots of things that they can plan to just really dig into taking their purpose, their passion to that next level, and really getting clear about that at whatever stage that they're in.
And finding their voice and amplifying their voice too, it's a big part of it.
It's a huge part, isn't it?
Because everyone like tries to compare themselves to other people all the time. Been there, done that too.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we do what we do, it's so interesting that, and Stephanie, I don't know how you feel about this, but I really believe that women come in with like epigenetic survival mechanism that's like, hey, don't be too big, don't be too loud. I mean, we come in with other gifts and soul callings that push us beyond that. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of women kind of naturally, they don't even know why, but have these barriers around owning their voices.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
I never really thought about it as deeply, but that does make sense. And I feel like, a lot of women struggle with really like just unleashing their wild side, their creative side, their, messy creativity. And like, that's what we're so gifted in, is creating. Yeah. And using that energy to just be like, and like create something magical out of it, like this crystal.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And so we're going to talk about the transitions, but what's coming up for me now is imagining you as a shy person. So what did you do to I know you said you just started, but did you
Yeah, well, this was a long journey. I share this like a lot. Like I share my story a lot. Because I was really shy when I was growing up. I was like mute basically in school. And then I was in an abusive relationship from 14 to 20. And like, so I just was really like shy and what I used to call weak. And I had a lot of healing to do around that, because I was pissed off at myself for being that way. And so I had to do a lot of like inner child stuff, but I was very, like scared of people, or like scared to be seen, scared to be myself. And so I had a lot of healing to do, which started while I was in that abusive relationship over a decade ago. And like, that's actually when my spiritual journey began. That's when this all, really, I started, remembering who I was and creating who I am, and, seeing myself differently. I felt so strong after I left that relationship, so motivated. I was like, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to follow my dreams, and like, that's when my motivation was born. And so once I started doing fitness a few years after that, cause I started my fitness journey when I was in the relationship too. I lost 60 pounds, and that's another thing that helped me. But once I started helping people with their health and fitness, well, number one, I realized I had to shift something internally to be able to step into guiding and leading people. And I always wanted to teach fitness classes. And I remember actually getting really upset and like actually crying, because I felt like I wanted to do it so bad, but I didn't think I could, because I wasn't the type of person that did that. Yeah. And so so that's exactly why I did it. Because I
love that.
I want to do this so bad, but I don't feel like I can do it because I'm not that kind of person yet. But what was stopping me? And like, that's when I forced myself to do things that made me uncomfortable. I started, teaching fitness classes. I started my own boot camp back then in New York. And I started doing fitness competitions because I just wanted to keep challenging myself and putting myself in front of a lot of people, and like, just changing the story. And it was really uncomfortable. And like, I sucked at some points, when I first started making videos, they were really not anything near where they are now,
Mm-hmm.
But I just like had to embrace that, and like had to deal with the feeling sucky for a little bit until I got better. And that is how I really did it. I just like, I had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the burning desire was so much more stronger than the fear. It actually hurt me more, like thinking about not doing it, and thinking about not putting myself out there, thinking about not, helping people in such a big way.
I love this so much, Stephanie. I'm so glad that we got to this point, because a lot of times in the spiritual realm, and when we're talking about energy and law of attraction and all of these things, people can get off on this whole, well, if it doesn't flow, let it go. Mm-hmm. And there are moments when that matters. Or, if I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. And mm-hmm. there are moments when that is absolutely applicable. Mm-hmm. Right. But then there are other moments, the ones that you're describing, where you were terrified and mm-hmm. you knew that's why I need to get through this. It's more painful to think of being locked in fear mm-hmm. and regret than actually taking action. And now you've become this influential, absolutely anybody looking at you would go, of course she taught fitness classes. Of course she was. Look at her. She's so pretty and natural and fit. But people hearing that it wasn't always that way, and also hearing that there's a balance in the whole managing your energy and taking real action mm-hmm. that is not always going to be comfortable and is not always going to be awesome. There's no way to get good except for to suck first, you know?
We all have a day one also. Yeah. And Yeah, there's definitely a really big difference between not feeling aligned with something and just feeling scared.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really easy to allow that voice of whatever you want to call it, reason, the voice to like talk you out of something when really that's just like, that's part of the problem that's holding people back is the fear or, oh, I'm just not, or I don't, have time or whatever, or a video is not my thing. I'd rather just, and like, yeah, for some people maybe, but if you're someone who wants to make an impact, you best believe like, I don't care. I first believe that people are going to have to be on video or audio or whatever. You know what I mean? For people who like really want to make an impact, that's how people connect a lot stronger.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So face it, be brave, own your voice, own your inkling, and do the things to get the result. Yeah.
And
with it.
yeah. And action builds confidence and crushes fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's like all people need to remember is that the more you do something, the better you're going to get.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you've gotten really awesome. And I'm so glad you took your life on, that you took your health on, that you took, and that's speaking to that journey again, wherever, you are as a listener or someone watching this now, that it's not about comparing yourself to that, huge spot it's about what's the next inspired step or the next fear you could face or the next way you could commit to owning your sovereign calling, your life, your joy, your freedom. So speaking of freedom, my darling, so there are some big shifts going on in you. And we were talking about a lot of times as entrepreneurs or, one of the most paralyzing things is being like, oh, but what am I here to teach? Mm-hmm. And then when you choose a spot and it starts to evolve, because it will, your best work, I think, comes after you allow whatever's there to move.
Yeah.
If not, it's like you're hoarding all this stuff, right?
Yes.
So nothing, right? So you've taken in, you let it out, it lives somewhere, and then the deeper work gets to keep coming. But it can't unless you allow it to flow, right?
Yeah.
So you've got some new work that's wanting to come through. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about plant medicine helping you. And so tell me about not just the group, but what you're feeling. What is your soul started to really be drawn toward?
So I've been, sharing a lot of this stuff a little bit for the last, I've been going through this shift for like the last 6 months to a year, really, of like just a new layer of awakening and expansion and deeper level of purpose. And so recently, even more so since getting back from Guatemala. And so what I've been teaching about, especially also so many things, like I'm like, I know. Because I've been really obsessed with subconscious reprogramming and like really like shifting your identity so that you can really live the life that you want to live, right? Like, who are you behind all of the untruths who are not you? And at the same time, loving every part of you. And so like, that's been my whole journey. And it's like almost like I circle back to things and then it gets stronger. And so I started really teaching people how to reprogram their subconscious through energy work and hypnosis, through hypnosis and EFT, energy work, subconscious reprogramming, and a lot of things that I've been teaching. And it's been amazing and magical. And the more I started really shifting, it's like stepping into that aspect of things in a deeper way, because I always talked about like manifestation and mindset, but now it's just like deeper and deeper of like, wow, and like next level rapid results. The more I started shifting into that even more, I have been having like these things, these downloads come to me like that are very deep and that are coming to me from spirit, from whatever, and that I want to share more, like about quantum manifestation and, quantum healing, the whole quantum reality, and how everything's happening simultaneously, and you could do the healing and the expansion at the same time, and that's how you collapse the timelines and really shift into the desired reality. It's really deep stuff for some people, maybe, but I don't care because it's like what I really want to share.
And there are people it's not deep for, and it's your time to be surrounded by those people that want to go there.
Yeah. And so it's just fascinating. I've always been like super fascinated. And with the plant medicine work, of course, like, the visionary plants, they take you places that not many other things can do. And, I've just been able to heal not just myself, but like my lineage and like people in my family, and just clear out all these like old paradigms and basically upgrade my DNA, so to speak, and open myself up to be more of a clear channel for what my soul came here to do. And then so many other deep things, but it was a big part of my healing journey over the last like 5 years. And so this recent experience that I had in Guatemala was just like a new layer of awakening. It wasn't more of like I just found this new information out. It was more like a reminding me, and like a more of like a confirmation, like, oh, trust yourself. You got this. Duh. You've been doing this for lifetimes. Now it's time to really embody it. So let's go. So it wasn't like oh my God, like it was just like all right, you already knew this for a while now. And, here's what it's just this feeling of doing it for lifetimes, and like, all right, so let's like really do it and step into it even more and evolve. And so I've been taking people on this new journey of evolving with me in a deeper level of spiritual expansion and manifestation and purpose, of course. Because we're here for a big ass reason.
Yeah, I love that. But, it is a big deal to move from, I know. I mean, I can remember being 20 and body love being important to my message, right? Mm-hmm. And no matter what I've taught or done, or body love has remained one of the base core principles. Like, you can't hate the body that's sending you intuitive signals and create what you want in the world. You can't be, right? So for you, there's certain things that come up to the front again and again.
Yeah. It's like you connect the dots. It's like, okay, everything that I've done before, it still makes total sense to me. Actually, it makes more sense now, because it's like, okay, I get all of that. Now let's really put it together in a more expansive way. It's cool that you say that, because it's so true.
Yeah. And it's the difference in feeling like, okay, you're just coming upon the subject and it feels amazing. And then even 10 years in, 15 years in, but when you go, I've been doing this for lifetimes, the rootedness, the profound levels of I know that I know who I am.
Oh, you just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, right. That is a huge gift. It's that whole, I always refer to that little book, The Little Engine That Could, when you come to this table of life going, oh, I come from this sad story and I come from la, 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 and I have all this to overcome. For a while, that is very empowering. Mm-hmm. But then as you keep going, there's a point where you start going, wait a minute, my ancestors gave their lives to learn certain lessons, and those lessons live in my DNA. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait a minute. I've had, deep experience that reaches far beyond the scope of this lifetime. Okay. Now you come to the table as not just the little engine that kept saying affirmations until she could or he could, which is awesome and meaningful, right? But you come fully embodied, loaded.
Yes.
And knowing that you're loaded. That's a thing. Like, you don't really know in your being. So I love that. So you're starting to take in, and we were talking about the possibility of you not only taking women that want to go deep and really want to know what they came loaded with and what they're called here to do and how to unlock and shed the untruths or the things that aren't them so that they can be who they're meant to be. But we also talked about, some of those people will go on this journey with you and learn from you how you do this and get to go do the same kind of work in the world. And I know that's further down the line.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it on podcast into reality.
Yeah, totally. No. It's like, it's already happening, like I'm definitely going to be doing more live events and retreats too, for like the deep, deep work. But yeah, it's already in the works. I got my new community that I'm kind of really just channeling a lot of this new creative energy and flow into. Mystical Beings on the Rise.
And that's how they find you on Facebook, Mystical Beings on the Rise, right?
Yeah, or my Spiritual Boss Babes. I still have both of them because Spiritual Boss Babes is like my main group, for other spiritual entrepreneurs to really, support each other, come together, grow, step into their purpose, call in more abundance. But Mystical Beings on the Rise is, we're going deeper into the quantum expansion aspect of things and how that relates to all areas of your life, not just business, but all areas of your life. And it will certainly help your business as well. All these practices and concepts and transformative tools.
So awesome. So awesome. So Spiritual Boss Babes, they can find you on Facebook. Then the second community is called Mystical Beings on the Rise.
Yeah, or they could just find it in my Spiritual Boss Babes group to make it easier, or either one.
Yeah, awesome.
In different places.
And then we're going to put a link in. Do you want to say a little bit about the mindset?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So the thing that I have most people, I have a lot of resources on my site that people can check out, but at spiritualbossbabe.com, I do have a 21-day mind shift magic program, which is super easy and really doable, that I created so that anyone could jump into this and have like a real transformation subconsciously. And so that has 21 days of hypnosis audios and EFT tapping videos. So hypnosis allows you to really reprogram the subconscious by, embedding suggestions when you're in a trance state. You're going to remember everything. For those of you who are not familiar with hypnosis, you're going to be fine and awake and aware. It's just like a deep, relaxed state. And then EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique. For those of you who are not familiar with that, it helps you just tap on different meridian points while saying affirmations that I guide you through. Not affirmations, but bringing awareness to an issue, and then also saying affirmations, and it just balances your energy system. So that allows you to reprogram at a subconscious and cellular level, and you'll see and feel changes like really fast. So all of these are for manifestation and like just really stepping into who you are over 21 days. So there's journal prompts each day, affirmations, and all the good stuff. So it's like something that I created for people to add to their morning ritual, on a daily basis. And you can find that at spiritualbossbabe.com/mindshift.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is so awesome. I love that. I'm all about it. I love EFT. I love hypnosis. And I really think, some people have asked, because I have some manifestation programs as well. But the way that I look at all of this is I believe when you look at any awesome athlete in their prime, they've got several coaches, one for this, one for that, people speaking in their ears. I listen or watch about 4 hours per day of whatever, TED Talks, new teachers, spiritual learning. And I have for over 20 years, because we're taking control of our mind, of our sovereign property. Mm-hmm. And there are people, the media, advertisers are paying big bucks to have a spot in your brain.
I know.
And to lead
about this earlier.
Yeah, and to lead an action. And so if you're going to live your most epic life, it's your responsibility to put into your mind, your heart, your being, the thoughts, the ideas, the reinforcements for what it is that you say or feel that you're called here to be, to do, to how you want to behave, who you want to show up as.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm always reading the next book, it doesn't, even though I'm an expert in my own right, I'm all about, hearing it from my other sisters, my other brothers, and one person saying it a different way at the very least will have you go, yes, this is so true, which that's drilling the basics, right? Mm-hmm. But maximizing that, every time I listen to someone, I learned something new. I get a new perspective, and now it becomes part of me, part of my fabric. So I'm always about throw everything at it, throw everything at the game that you want to play and at being the best that you can be, and learn from all the best, which is why I love doing this podcast and sharing my, favorite people because I've been blessed, and, one of my superpowers is you can drop me in a grocery store and the leaders in the town will end up being right next to me, and we're welcome or something. It's one of the gifts that I came in with, is just influencing influencers. And even before I even understood it, I remember my substitute teachers and confiding in me, my babysitters confiding in me and stuff, and feeling so young and immature, but also holding space for them somehow. We all have our own superpowers, and I think it's so important to learn from great mentors. So creating a platform where I get to share my favorite people with the world is so great. And something else I want to say about before we wrap up is that what I love about our conversation is this talking about where you're going next, about the imposter syndrome, because there's an illusion for a lot of people that when you get started, you were just born for it, or you just knew, or you were just so ready. And while those things are in your cells, everybody, even once they've had major success, still, we all have moments of insecurity, not sure, where we need clarity, new levels of fear. It's just that we get comfortable working through that. We expect that to be part of the process. So it's not debilitating anymore. And so the faster you can just dive in and get going past that, I'm so afraid to even start, and get comfortable with this rhythm. But really, what'll help you be comfortable is diving into your purpose and really knowing, why are you doing this? And diving in on things that really light you up. Totally. Like what you talked about, the things that you really love, and then marry those things together, and you're going to see your life expand. And I want to say, wherever you are, it's normal to feel fear. And even if I've talked to people that are like, wow, I've made more money than I've ever made in my life, but I spent it all and now I feel ashamed and I'm back in a hole. And it's so did Vanilla Ice and everyone who's ever won the lottery. There's always going to be a new place to go. So stop beating yourself up, get in action, follow your inklings, like Stephanie was saying, that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. And just keep growing and going.
Growing and going.
This was awesome. I'm so excited. You're like a long lost soul sister.
I feel it. I know. And you're in Austin. So we're going to do something.
You're not far from here, right?
Dallas.
Oh my God. Can we just meet up soon? Please.
Yes.
I'm so down. I can't wait to have you on my podcast too. This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor to be able to share my energy, my message, and everything with your audience. And thank you so much, Adora, for having me share.
My pleasure, darling. So much love. You guys leave your comments and we'll put in the repost everywhere that you can go. Stephanie, we'll see each other soon.
All right. See
So
ya.
much love.
Hey, it's Adora Crystal again. I hope you so enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you did, please share it with 3 friends right now. Please use the hashtag The Rich Queen Movement because we are always giving away prizes to our tribe. And if you want to go deeper with us, be sure to go to therichqueenmovement.com and take the free class that we're offering. It's going to help you unlock massive gifts inside of your own DNA. Until next time, so much love.